In a desolate future, a catastrophic war has ravaged the Earth, leaving the world in ruins. This post-apocalyptic wasteland, known as the Lost Lands, is all that remains of civilization. The survivors now inhabit a solitary city ruled by a ruthless overlord, with the church enforcing strict order. One day, Gray, a woman accused of witchcraft, faces execution. The enforcer, a powerful figure, uses her as an example to demonstrate the consequences of defying the church. Once the enforcer departs, Gray uses her magic to create an illusion, making a soldier believe he is the one being executed. In a panic, he shoots the rope to save himself, inadvertently freeing Gray. In his confusion, the soldier fires at what he thinks is Gray, but instead kills one of his comrades. The enforcer returns to find the situation spiraling and kills the soldier under the spell's influence. She sets out with her team to find Gray. Meanwhile, Gray hides in the shadows, picking off soldiers one by one until only the enforcer remains. Gray captures her, and though the enforcer invites death, Gray decides to hang her instead. As she walks away, the crowd parts, and Gray is now dubbed the witch who won't hang. Elsewhere, Boyce, a lone wanderer, halts at a tunnel, sensing an ambush. When he voices his suspicion, a group of men appear, and one attempts to steal his gun. But the gun is rigged with a deadly two-headed snake that kills the thief instantly. Boyce then summons guns from thin air, swiftly eliminating the rest of the gang. He picks up his snake before continuing his journey. Gray, finding refuge in a tower, leaves some money for a blind woman. The woman recognizes Gray's kindness and thanks her. Later, the Queen, accompanied by Jerez, the captain of the Overwatch, arrives seeking Gray's services. The Queen desires to gain the ability to shapeshift into a wolf and offers valuable jewelry in exchange. Gray agrees to the deal, explaining she will hire a hunter to track down a shapeshifter and acquire their powers before the full moon rises in 6 days. As Gray prepares to leave, Jerez tries to persuade her to fail the Queen. He claims loyalty to her but believes that the Queen's power will ultimately corrupt her. Though Gray is skeptical of his true motives, she accepts his timepiece as payment for the job. Using a spell, Gray observes the Lost Lands where she sees a group of men battling a massive wolf, only to be slaughtered instantly. Meanwhile, the Overlord lies in bed, requesting help from the Queen after an embarrassing accident. The Queen, clearly exhausted by her husband, dismisses him and proceeds to kiss Boyce, revealing their secret affair. When Boyce attempts to sneak out, he is caught by the guards. He retaliates by lighting one of them on fire and kicking another down the stairs. Back at a local bar, Gray approaches Boyce, seeking his expertise on the Lost Lands. Boyce, more interested in gambling, challenges Gray to a game. She wins effortlessly in the first round, and after some convincing, Boyce agrees to join her mission. Gray reassures him that if she ever slows him down, he is free to leave her behind. Boyce reveals that the great wolf she seeks resides in a place called Skull River, matching the location from her vision. Gray promises to pay him with the timepiece if he leads her there. Suddenly, soldiers burst into the bar, and one opens fire, but Boyce quickly kills him by throwing the snake at him. The snake kills another soldier, and when the enforcer arrives to finish the job, Gray and Boyce manage to escape. At the church, the patriarch delivers a sermon condemning witches and heretics, all while secretly monitoring a rebel movement. After Mass, the patriarch learns that Gray has become a symbol of resistance. The enforcer captures the blind woman and forces her to reveal that Gray has been in contact with the Queen and Jerez. The patriarch orders the enforcer to find Gray and make her confess to manipulating their leaders before executing her. Meanwhile, Gray and Boyce camp in the wilderness. Boyce attempts to catch a snake but fails, and he later approaches Gray with a blade, only to reveal he's there to kill a scorpion that nearly stung her. The next day, they arrive at a trading post run by Mara and Ross, Boyce's old friends. After a brief reunion, Boyce explains their quest to find the shapeshifter in Skull River, and Gray insists they take a dangerous shortcut to reach it faster. As the night falls, Boyce and Mara rekindle their romance. The next morning, Boyce warns Mara that they're in dangerous territory, and Gray notices a skeleton of a beast in a nearby cage. Meanwhile, the enforcer with her soldiers begins scouring the Lost Lands by train. The Queen confronts the patriarch about the use of the train, as he never consulted her. He dismisses her concerns, revealing that he's heard rumors of her betrayal. Later, the patriarch calls the enforcer, confirming his suspicions and orders her to capture Gray quickly. The soldiers torture Mara and Ross until they reveal that Gray and Boyce are headed to Skull River. The soldiers then kill them and burn their post to the ground. The next day, Gray and Boyce reach the Rift, a ruined city filled with deep chasms. They enter an old building where Boyce searches for a cable car driver, but instead finds the man hanged, confirming that the soldiers had been there first. As they attempt to leave, the enforcer and her soldiers trap them. They offer to let Boyce go if he hands over Gray, but Boyce refuses. At that moment, Mara unexpectedly reappears, only to be shot dead by the enforcer. Enraged, Boyce opens fire while Gray strikes down soldiers one by one. They manage to kill many, but more soldiers keep coming, forcing them into a desperate battle. With Gray out of bullets, they attempt to escape on a cable car, using hand-to-hand combat to fight off the soldiers who try to stop them. Eventually, Gray and Boyce are forced to fight their way up to the roof of the car. The enforcer attempts to stop them by severing the cables, causing the car to begin its descent. As it crashes into the side of a chasm, Gray and Boyce escape, though Boyce is injured in the process. The duo climbs a rocky wall, with Gray using magic to keep the enforcer distracted, giving them time to flee. Later, Boyce tends to his wound as Gray stitches him up. As they rest, Boyce swears revenge on the enforcer. The next day, the Queen learns she's pregnant, and though she knows Boyce is the father, she pretends it's the Overlord's child. To secure her future, she kills the Overlord by suffocating him in his sleep. Meanwhile, Gray and Boyce reach Shadow's Bane, a cursed land filled with demons. They hide inside a cooling tower, preparing for an inevitable encounter. When the demons arrive, they use fire and traps to defend themselves, but their efforts prove insufficient. Boyce is knocked down by a demon, but Gray saves him by slaying it. A huge battle ensues, with Gray using her magic to create a fiery vortex that destroys the demons. Afterward, Gray explains that the treasure hidden in the area once corrupted a group of men, transforming them into demons. The next day, the Patriarch announces the Overlord's death and the Queen's pregnancy, claiming her child will be the new ruler. However, Gerace, secretly plotting, kills the Patriarch, leaving the Queen as the sole leader. Boyce and Gray continue their journey, arriving at the fire fields. Boyce warns Gray of the dangers ahead, but she is determined to proceed. As they near Skull River, Gray prepares for the final confrontation with the shapeshifter. When the full moon rises, Boyce transforms into the wolf he had been all along. Gray fights him but is unable to defeat him. Ultimately, Boyce defeats Gray and leaves her for dead. When Gray wakes up, she finds herself in chains. She had secretly poisoned Boyce with silver under his skin. In their final confrontation, Boyce pleads for Gray to stay with him and hunt together. Gray agrees but warns him there's a price. As Boyce transforms again under the moon's influence, Gray uses her blades to free herself and end his suffering. She buries him and takes his pelt back to the city, where the rebels rise up and tear down the church's oppressive regime. The Queen, now in power, is devastated to learn Boyce is dead. She attempts to manipulate Gerace, but he betrays her, and she kills him. As the rebels storm the castle, the Queen's reign comes to an end. In the chaos, Boyce's grave begins to tremble, and he is resurrected. Now both he and Gray must face the future together, embarking on a new journey through the Lost Lands.